welcome back to my channel. I am so excited. I am bringing you a video today, which I saw some of my favorite beauty YouTubers do. I got the idea from Samantha March. This is the Eyeshadow Palette Tag. I think she said she got it from her friend, I believe. So anyway, side note, what do we think of this new surrounding? I'm sitting in my chair, which, well, you can't tell, but I'm sitting in my chair here in the corner, and I usually sit here and read. I figured this is a good spot with the lighting and everything. Let me know what you guys think. I know there's a bit of a shadow right there, but we'll work with it. Okay, so anyway, so I have my little notebook right here of all of my things so I can keep up. And then I also, oh, excuse me, there goes the nose itch again. What did I tell you guys? There goes the freaking nose itch. I have some water with some Crystal Light in it. The grape, because it tastes like grape Kool-Aid and it's awesome. All the flavor, no calories or sugar. It's bomb. Okay, and then we also have our hand sanitizer, because you know, yeah, we got to be clean. Even in our own house, we got to be clean. Okay, so go ahead and jump right into it. And yeah, I'm super excited. So here we go. So the first question is your newest eyeshadow palette. So there's actually a couple that I have, I think, that are in the mail on the way to me, but I didn't count those because they're not here with me and I haven't played around with them or anything like that. So the one that's most recently come to me is this one right here. It is the Tarte Busy Gal Goals. That's reflective right there, but Busy Gal, I probably can't even tell. Whatever. It's this palette by Tarte. This one is, the reason why I got this was because the color scheme in this, I thought it was just so unique. And it's got a full like eyeshadow, 9-pan eyeshadow, and then it also has a blush and a highlighter in here. I think they're super pretty. You can do so many looks with this. It's supposed to be like daytime to nighttime kind of office, I guess, is where they kind of describe it, like a gal on the go. I have really enjoyed this palette so far. I've only used it twice. Yeah, I've only used it twice, but I really enjoy it. This, and you're going to see a palette that has the same style format a little bit later in one of the other questions, but yeah. This is my newest palette so far, and I have really been enjoying this. I wish Tarte would come out with more style palettes like this, because I can do my whole face in a palette. I love that, especially like for travel. It's so easy, no brainer. I love it. The quality is just amazing. It blends beautifully. Pigmentation is there. It smells incredible. Got that vanilla classic Tarte kind of smell. I love it. It's awesome. So that's my newest one. Now, second question is, what is your oldest palette? And my oldest palette, this one was tough because I had to really go through and look at a bunch of things. So there's one palette I have that I've had since I was 16 years old, and it's very sentimental. Now it's in my project pan currently, and I didn't want to count this because, or I didn't want to count that palette because I have the same palette but the upgraded version somewhere else down in this list. So we're not going to count that one. But that one I've had since I was 16 years old, and I'll explain that once I get to the new upgraded version of the palette. The second palette that was the oldest to me was the, it was the Urban Decay. So I can reach down here and grab it. It's not the actual one that I bought, but the Urban Decay Naked was actually the very first palette that I myself bought. This first one was one that my mom got me, but it was one that I bought, but I completely used it up, and this is actually when they were discontinuing it. I bought the new version of it, but it hasn't hardly been used yet because I want to keep it in good condition. So that technically was the oldest palette in my collection. I just finished up not too long ago and decluttered it, but the one that I currently have in my collection that is the oldest, that is still good, that I'm still using, is the Too Faced Semi-Sweet Chocolate Bar Palette. Now, so this one, I know a lot of people have, I still have all my Too Faced tin packaging. I love the formula of these. I don't know why people declutter them. They're just so good. People are like, oh, like, they're just old, and so it's an oldie but a goodie. Like, the formula still works. This is the oldest palette. I think I got this when I was, I want to say 18 or something like that. And I was thinking, I was not sure if the regular chocolate bar was my oldest, but then I was like thinking, I was like, well, I actually think that the Too Faced Bonbons palette was my oldest that I currently like haven't used. And I was like, no, I really do think, and I finally figured out that it was a semi-sweet. So I love this palette. It doesn't look like I've used a whole lot in it, but trust me, I have. I try to take really good care of my palettes. My thing is, I spend a lot of money on them. I want to take care of them. So yes, I do. I'm one of those people that cleans my palettes. I'm a freak. So anyway, So that is my oldest eyeshadow palette in my collection. Third question is, what is my most expensive palette in my collection? And that title belongs to this beauty, the Natasha Denona Biba palette. I love this palette. So Samantha March, watching her video, she said what was her most expensive, and it was the Natasha Denona Gold palette, which I want to get that one so bad. But I decided the Biba one is my first Natasha Denona like big palette because it's the neutral one. So, but Samantha March was like, if your house caught on fire, she's like, if your house caught on fire, you know, what would be something that you would like grab for or something like that? Or if, she was like showing her house or something like that. And the thing that she always took with her were like her camera, her computer, and her Natasha Denona Gold palette. And it's like, they're expensive, you know, you invest a lot of money. If my house were on fire, I'd grab this palette. No joke. And I love this palette. Like, to my core, I love this palette. It's, oh, I can't even. I think it has to be my favorite, or at least on my top 5. I need to make a video of my top 5 or top 10 eyeshadow palettes, but still, this is my most expensive one. The price tag on this beauty was $129. She was very expensive, but I hardly ever pay full price for anything that I buy. And I'll make another video soon talking about my tips and tricks on never buy anything full price. So, I'm a bargain shopper, that is. I pride myself on that. I save my money. For as much as I buy, I do try to get sale stuff because it's going to help. But anyway, that's my most expensive eyeshadow palette. The number 4 question is your most affordable palette in your collection. So I had to do some numbers crunching, go through my smaller palettes and figure out what was my most affordable. And I came out with this little guy. This is the Juvia's Place Nubian Mini palette. So this, it doesn't have a mirror or anything, but that is what she looks like. And this palette, I think when they first came out, it was $10, right? So now actually on the Juvia's Place website, she's on sale for $6. This is my most affordable eyeshadow palette. I actually don't own anything else by Juvia's Place. I figured I wanted to try out the formula in this little mini first. It was like right when it first came out, and I was looking at trying the formula, and I was like, well, I'll just do this just to see. And I actually do really like the formula. I don't reach for her that often, but when I like remember to, and I'm like, oh, it's because it's really deep, rich, warm neutrals. There goes a burp. Of course, it's gonna happen. Yeah, she's $6 right now on the Juvia's Place website. So if you're like me and you want to try out the Juvia's Place formula, but you're not quite sure, you maybe don't want to spend, you know, what is it, like 10, 12 bucks on like their bigger palettes. I think they may go to upwards of 18. I'm not quite sure. Like I said, I'm not as familiar with Juvia's Place, but if you don't want to spend the money on getting one of their bigger eyeshadow palettes, or because you know the pans are so big in those, if you don't want to do that, you just want to try it out, get the Nubian Mini. I mean, it's a really great way to try out the formula. So, but yeah, this little guy is $6 currently, but I bought it for 10. Okay, let us see. Moving down. Okay, number 5. An everyday palette in your collection. So this one was tough because the one that I use almost like on a daily basis is actually, that's one of the later questions down in there, like further in the list. But an everyday palette that I was like, okay, if I didn't have this one if I didn't have that palette in my collection, which one would I be using every day? And to me, I think it was kind of a no-brainer. It was the ColourPop Going Coconuts palette. I love this, you guys, and I'm a neutral Nelly, okay? I love neutrals. I'll wear them till I die, right? It's my thing. I actually am currently wearing it on my eyes today, the Going Coconuts. So yeah, I think it's just a really nice kind of everyday palette. I love the colors in this. They're so easy to blend. And I actually have this one all over my lid. Whoa, it's pigmented, y'all, but it's so nice. And yeah, so this would be another one of my everyday palettes if I didn't have the other one that I will talk about in a little bit. So the ColourPop Going Coconuts is a great everyday palette, in my humble opinion. Okay, so number 6, the most colorful palette in your collection. This one was difficult because I have several colorful palettes, right? And the one that I ended up choosing was like, when I think of colorful palette in my mind, which palette out of my collection just goes, that one. And it was hard because one of the other colorful palettes that I have is, again, another choice down in the questions, more questions later on. But in my mind, I was like, which one, just kind of scanning, and I was like, that one, it's gotta be that one. And she has a sister palette, but I felt this one was a little bit more colorful. So this one is the Melt Vita palette. So she has a sister. I don't know if you guys are aware. I'm sure you are if you are familiar with anything from Melt Cosmetics. So this came out, I know it was last fall, winter time, I think. I can't remember, but she has a sister, which is the Melt Muerta palette. So it's kind of got the Dia de los Muertos, I'm sorry if I butchered that, but the Day of the Dead kind of theme, which I really love. Now, the Muerta palette is definitely those darker, it's the color scheme is on the front, right? So it's definitely those darker kind of colors, but in my mind, I was like, color is like bright, there's hardly any neutrals in the palette, so I chose the Vita, and it is beautiful. I mean, look at all those colors. Is that not just gorgeous? So, yeah, I absolutely love this. In my mind, when I think of something colorful, I think of this palette, because I mean, it's just, it's got so much versatility. Oh, it's like, this is the colors of the rainbow. Now, if I could have picked like both of those together, because they equal up a beautiful rainbow palette, they just do. And the quality of these, I actually, I'm not really big into colorful shadows. As I just told you guys, I'm more of a neutral gal, right? But like these two together, screams color. I love them. It makes me so happy and feel so creative when I look at these palettes, and it makes me want to work with color. And I think that as a color palette, the color palette should be inspiring. You know what I mean? It should make you want to play with things and go outside your comfort zone. These two for sure did it for me, and the Vita in particular. Yeah, as far as like colorful shadows go, I had like a NYX palette, and I had like the Jeffree Star Androgyny, and those were like kind of a step into color, but when I really think of color, I think of the Melt Vita palette. So absolutely love it. It's beautiful. Totally recommend. So okay, next question would be number 7. What is the smallest palette in my collection? Now, I didn't know if it was meant by like the circumference of the palette or meant by the grams, like the weight in it kind of thing. So I went by the grams, and I actually have 2. They're the exact same person, but they are the Natasha Denona mini palettes. I have the Mini Glam and the Mini Nude. As you can see, they're well loved, especially the Mini Nude. I went ham on her. I mean, she's got a dip in that center shade that is out of this world. Like, I feel like I'm about to hit pan, but I don't know. But anyway, both of these, they have 0.8 grams per 5 eyeshadows, and that was the smallest out of all my, like, because I have a bunch of like mini kind of palettes and stuff. Like my Chartis Pro To Go was another contender, but it was 0.9 grams per thing. So anyways, this was the smallest that I had in my collection. So I absolutely love these. I love traveling with these. I love being able to throw these in my purse if I want a day to night time kind of look transition. These are beautiful. Hands down, love these palettes. Ooh, and they are $25 a piece, I believe, but totally worth it in my opinion. Okay, so number 8, the biggest palette in my collection. Again, I didn't know if it meant like circumference-wise, like of the whole of the palette, or like thickness or anything like that. My biggest palette that I used to have was, of course, my Jaclyn Hill Morphe Cosmetics, but I actually depotted all of those and put those into a Z palette. It's kind of a like maybe like that big Z palette, but anyways, I depotted it, so the container's no longer my biggest. But I think the bulkiest kind of packaging, the biggest in my mind, again, one of those things where I'm like, what's the biggest palette in my collection? This one immediately popped into mine, and it's the Jeffree Star and Shane Dawson Conspiracy palette. This is a big gal, okay? The only other palette that I own from Jeffree Star is the Conspiracy palette. It's the Androgyny palette, and she's been through heck and back. I love her. She's great. And she's a like wide palette, but this is the biggest, bulkiest packaging they have. It's gorgeous packaging, but it is the biggest that I have in my collection. I really absolutely love this palette, you guys. It is just stunning. I mean, look at that. They're beautiful colors. Lots of like pretty neutrals though too, but this is for sure. She takes up a lot of room in my drawer. If she weren't in my drawer, I could probably fit more palettes in there, but she's in the back taking up a good chunk of room. So very thick packaging, but I'm happy I have it. So that is going there. Okay, so moving on down. Number 9 is the best memory. So for this one, I had to think of, there are so many palettes that I have, and I'm like, oh man, that was such a good memory, and I remember when this one's a good memory, and like my Urban Decay, not Urban Decay, the yeah, the Urban Decay Naked. I was like, that was my first one I remembered. It's just so sentimental, you know, all that kind of stuff. And I was like, oh, I don't know. It was a tie, you guys, and I don't know if I'm allowed to put two into one category, but I'm not. I'm gonna stick with my one. Just gonna stick with my one. I'm gonna be true to the tag. Okay. So this one, it came out, and I was like, that is my perfect palette. I think if I remember, I might have gotten a little emotional over it. That sounds so stupid. It's just a nose itch. Sorry. Okay. But I think I got a little emotional over this palette because I was just like, it's like they know me. It's like this palette was made for me. And I loved it so much that I actually bought two backups. Two. I gave one of them to my sister-in-law because she came over and I was just like, you know what? I have two of these and this would look so pretty on her because she's blonde like me and similar kind of skin to me, maybe a little bit more fair. And I'm like, this palette would be beautiful on her. So I gave her that one. I still have a backup though. And I've been looking all over like Poshmark and like eBay and stuff. And they're actually quite expensive now because they're discontinued. People are like, where do you get that palette? But I'm sorry if it's unavailable to you anymore, but I couldn't. This is my best memory. It's the Tarte Aspen Ovar palette. Words cannot describe the love affair that I have with this palette. When I'm talking about a neutral girl's dream, and especially being blonde hair and kind of fair skin, this palette, oh my Lanta. I mean, it's just, it's perfect. I've got everything I can need in here. Now, kicker to this shade right here is not actually the shade that it came with in the palette because that shade broke. And so the backup that I have has a shade in it, but it's the shade Heart of Gold. But actually in here, this is the Anastasia shade, I think it's Amber. I put that in there because it was actually really, really similar to that shade. So anyways, but it has, again, that same style format that the Busy Gal Goals, Busy Gal Goals palette that Tarte came out with. I love the face palette because, again, it has everything in there that I could ever want to travel with. And I think I'm going to have a cow traveling with both of those because I'm just like, they're face palettes. It's all, I think I'm just spit. That's so unladylike. I'm so sorry. But it's got everything you need in here. And I'm obsessed. And I'm so glad I have a backup. And as you can see, I mean, I have dented her up. I've dinged her. She's traveled with me literally everywhere. I love it. I just love her so much. This is my best memory. And like I said, I remember like to the point of tears over this. I'm a little psycho over makeup, I guess, but no shame, no shame. Okay, so moving on. Number 10 is worth the hype. What is a palette that is worth the hype in your collection? So this one, again, to me was a no-brainer. I was like, oh yeah, this was talked up and people are like, is it going to be good? I don't know. It surpassed all expectations and totally worth the hype. This is the Tati Beauty Volume 1 Textured Neutrals palette. I love this palette so much. First off, look how, I mean, she's sleek. She's like that girl, you know, kind of thing, like that lady that you just like, you want to be her. I mean, it's a Fitzbernay, you know, you want to be her kind of thing. And oh, just look at that. Is that not gorgeous? I mean, what I love about this is you have, I don't think anybody's ever done this before, where it's got the, I'm going to just pull this back so the mirror doesn't blind you. The mirror is gorgeous. It's huge. But it's got the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 colors, color stories, if you will. And it's got a matte, sequin, metallic, and glitter kind of like formula for all those colors. And it's just, I remember when this came out, people were like, I don't know, it's like a beauty YouTubers like makeup, like I don't know how she'll do, but it's like knowing Tati, she's glam life guru, you know, like of course she's gonna knock it out of the park. In my opinion, I was like, I knew it was actually gonna kill it, and she did. This palette is so worth the hype, so worth the money. It is so blendable. It is beautiful. I love this. I love the glitters in it. I'm not a big fan of glitters on my eyes, but with this palette, like apart from the Stila, the glitter and glow, I don't ever really use glitter on my eyes, but with this, I love using these glitters. There's just, Tati killed it. She just killed it. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Totally worth the hype. Totally. Okay. Number 11, a palette that is not worth the hype in my collection. This one, she's made it past 2 declutters strictly for the packaging and strictly for the fact that it's a collector's edition, and it's the only thing that I have of it, of this brand. It is the Kat Von D 10th anniversary palette. Now, this was one of the last ones that she did with her artwork. I think now, I don't agree with all of her ideals in life, like the way that she kind of goes about her life, mainly for like the vaccine thing, with my being in the medical field. Just vaccinate your kids, please. Anyway, apart from that, I think she's a beautiful artist. I love, 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 love it. It's stunning, and the gold around it, it's beautiful. Now, you can't get this anymore unless people are like selling it on like Poshmark or eBay or something like that, but I was very disappointed in this palette. It is a rainbow palette, and so I was thinking about this one for the most colorful eyeshadow palette in my collection. But again, when I thought of like color, I was like, nope, it's the melt palettes. It's the melt. The reason why this one didn't take it is because the formula is not my favorite. When I want to work with color, I don't really choose to go for this palette, you know what I mean? Unless I want like a specific like color that I'm thinking of, or like this duochrome, which is actually really pretty. I don't particularly reach for this palette. It's more of just for the fact that it was the artwork and it was like one of her last palettes kind of thing. I don't own anything else by Kat Von D. I used to have the Lolita palette, but then I was just like, I burped again, excuse me. I was like, I don't use it. So this, sadly, it was all hyped up. Everybody was like, oh my gosh, the 10th anniversary, it's beautiful, it's all gold and like it's stunning, and this sold out like so quick at Sephora. I remember when it sold out, but I don't think it's worth the hype. I just have it just because of the artwork, and I think it's beautiful. It's stunning, but not worth the hype in my opinion. So, okay, the last 2 questions, let me flip over. Number 12 is the most, I guess, well, yeah, it's a favorite palette from a favorite brand in my collection. Now, here's the thing. I'm a huge fan of Anastasia Beverly Hills, like, huge. And I feel like a lot of people are, if they do this tag, they're going to be like, oh, Anastasia is going to creep her way in there, right? Because, I mean, and she should, absolutely gorgeous formulas and everything. And I feel like I have all of the Too Faced 10 palettes, like that kind of thing. I have a lot of Melt. I have a lot of Urban Decay. I have a lot of collections, like my favorite brands kind of thing. All those are favorite brands of mine, I would definitely say. And for sure, I feel like with the Anastasia Beverly Hills, my favorite palette out of all those, and I feel like other people will choose this one, and I didn't want to choose Anastasia because I feel like a lot of people would do that. So if I had chose ABH and I had chose a favorite palette from that, it would have been the Soft Glam. I mean, she's stunning. Need I say more kind of thing? But I was like, no, you know what? I'm going to go with a brand that's not really talked about as much anymore, but it's Tarte. I still love Tarte, obviously, with the Aspen Novoard and the Busy Gal Goals palette. I love Tarte. I really do. Now, there's like their holiday stuff. You know, it's the formula that can kind of get a little mixed up, but one of my favorite palettes that I use constantly, all the time, is my Tartelette in Bloom. I feel like people don't really talk about this anymore, but this is such a neutral, everyday kind of palette. It's just beautiful, and I love it with these shades. They really work well with my eyes and my skin tone and my hair color. As you can see, I've hit Pan and Flower Child, and I'm super close to hitting Pan and Smarty Pants right here too, as well, and then Funny Girl and just Jet Setter. I'm getting down on those colors, but I love this palette. I think she's kind of taken for granted, you know what I mean? I don't know. I love this palette. It's one of my favorites. If I were like to travel and I didn't have my other Tarte like face palettes kind of thing to travel with, this one, it's an easy blendable no-brainer. I can get so many effortless looks out of this and really like jazz it up with these dark shades. Love it. I just a favorite palette from my favorite brand. Okay. And for the last question, is my most used palette in my collection. Now, this one is she has a sister. That's my very first eyeshadow palette that I got when I was 16 that my mom got for me. This is the updated version of her. It's the Too Faced Natural Eyes palette. So, this is actually the oldest in my collection. It's the 10. Okay, this is the one my mom got when I was 16 years old. very well loved. Okay, she's in my project pan as well. But this is the new updated version, and I use her all the time. Like, all the time. I know I say I use a lot of these palettes a lot, which I feel like I do, but this one, if I absolutely have like a go-to, I need to get out of the house for whatever reason to do something in a hurry, I'm grabbing this girl. Obviously, hit pan. We're still working on, I don't really use like the white as much, but I'm working on it. And then, yeah, this is actually my second one of this, of the new formula, because I use it that much. So, yeah, I absolutely love this palette. I think it just works for so many people. I've used this on a bunch of my friends, kind of showing them how to start out getting basic eye looks and kind of things like that. And it works. I've used this on deeper skin tones as well, and it looks still beautiful. So, yeah. This is probably my most used out of all my eyeshadow palettes. Is probably this one. Got a lot of pan on her. But anyway, so yeah, that is it. That is all for my eyeshadow palette tag. I hope you guys enjoyed. That was 13 questions. I know I kind of went a little more in depth about each individual eyeshadow palette, but I just wanted to, sorry about the phone ding. I just wanted you guys to really understand why I picked my choices. So I hope you guys enjoy. I hope you're staying safe and you are staying indoors wherever you are. Keep using your hand sanitizers. Keep wearing your mask if you go outside. And yeah, stay safe, and I will talk to you very soon in my next video. Yeah, all right. Bye. Mwah.